Silence is not merely the absence of words. It is a form of power that few truly understand. In a world that constantly encourages noise, quick reactions, and immediate responses, choosing silence can be an act of self-mastery. When you learn to stay silent, you cultivate an inner strength that enables you to move through life with wisdom, clarity, and discipline. You stop being controlled by emotions, external circumstances, and the opinions of others. Instead, you become anchored in your own mind, operating from a place of self-awareness and control rather than reaction. This is the true essence of inner power, having the ability to observe, reflect, and act only when necessary. Many people mistake silence for weakness, but in reality it is a sign of immense strength. The ability to hold your tongue when provoked, to resist the urge to prove a point, and to remain still while others rush into action. This is what separates those who have control over their lives from those who are at the mercy of their impulses. It takes discipline to remain silent when someone insults you, challenges your beliefs, or questions your worth. But in that silence, you gain something invaluable: control over yourself. You are no longer swayed by emotions, no longer easily manipulated by those who seek to provoke you. You become a fortress, standing firm while others waste their energy in meaningless arguments and unnecessary conflicts. Silence also allows you to develop mental clarity. When you speak less and listen more, your mind becomes sharper. You are not caught up in the chaos of unnecessary conversations, gossip, or idle chatter. Instead, your thoughts are directed toward understanding yourself and the world around you. You start noticing details others miss, picking up on nuances in conversations, and recognizing patterns that others overlook. This heightened awareness gives you an edge in life. Whether in relationships, business, or personal growth, those who understand the power of observation are always steps ahead. They are not distracted by noise, they are focused on what truly matters. Furthermore, silence cultivates emotional resilience. Most people react to situations based on their emotions, but when you practice silence, you develop the ability to process your feelings before acting on them. You learn to sit with discomfort rather than lashing out. You recognize that not every situation requires an immediate response, and not every problem needs to be solved right away. When you master this, you become unshakable. No matter what happens around you, you remain calm, collected, and in control. This is one of the most valuable skills you can develop in life: the ability to remain composed under pressure, to not let anger, frustration, or fear dictate your actions, will set you apart in any situation. Silence also creates an aura of mystery and respect. When you do not reveal everything you think and feel, people become intrigued by you. They wonder what you are thinking, what your intentions are, and what moves you will make next. In contrast, those who constantly talk, explain themselves, and react emotionally lose this advantage. Their words give away too much, making them predictable and easy to manipulate. But when you maintain an air of silence, you hold power over how others perceive you. You are seen as composed, thoughtful, and wise. You do not need to prove anything because your presence alone speaks volumes. It is also important to recognize that silence does not mean passivity. It does not mean you never speak up or take action. Rather, it means you choose your words and actions wisely. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond deliberately. You wait for the right moment to speak, ensuring that your words carry weight. People listen when a quiet person finally speaks because they know that those words have been carefully considered. In contrast, when someone constantly talks, their words lose value. They become background noise, easily ignored. But when you learn to hold back, to speak only when necessary, your words gain power. They have impact. The greatest minds in history understood this. Leaders, philosophers, and visionaries all knew that silence was one of their greatest tools. They observed before they spoke, they listened before they acted, and they calculated before they moved. This is why they were able to make decisions that changed the course of history. They were not ruled by emotions or impulsive desires. They were guided by wisdom and strategy. If you want to cultivate this same level of mastery in your own life, you must start by embracing silence. In a world where everyone is speaking, debating, and shouting their opinions, the one who remains silent stands out. The one who observes instead of reacting gains the upper hand. The one who listens more than they talk gathers knowledge that others miss. Silence is not emptiness, it is a space of power, a place where true strength resides. When you understand this, you will no longer feel the need to constantly explain yourself, defend your actions, or prove your worth. You will simply be. And in that being, you will hold a power that few can match. In a world where everyone is in a rush to express themselves, where social media encourages constant engagement, and where people feel the need to respond immediately to every message, question, or challenge, the power of patience is often overlooked. Yet patience is one of the most valuable traits a person can develop, and it is closely tied to silence. When you choose to stay silent and embrace patience, you allow life to unfold naturally rather than forcing outcomes prematurely. You begin to see that everything you desire, clarity, respect, opportunities, and even love, comes to those who can wait. The ability to remain patient in moments of uncertainty is a mark of true self-mastery. Many people react impulsively when faced with situations that test their emotions. If they feel ignored, they immediately seek validation. If they are uncertain about something, they look for immediate answers. If they are frustrated, they lash out without thinking. But those who practice patience understand that not everything requires an instant response. Sometimes the best course of action is to wait, observe, and allow things to develop on their own. This does not mean inaction. It means choosing to act at the right time rather than at the first impulse. Silence and patience go hand in hand because both require a deep understanding of yourself and the world around you. When you are silent, you give yourself the space to process your emotions instead of being consumed by them. You gain clarity because you are not distracted by noise, and this clarity allows you to make better decisions. When you are patient, you develop the discipline to trust that things will happen in their own time rather than trying to force outcomes that may not yet be ready. Consider how patience works in relationships. When someone distances themselves from you, the natural reaction is to chase after them, demand explanations, or try to fix things immediately. But this often backfires, pushing them further away. The patient person, however, understands that space is sometimes necessary. By staying silent instead of reacting emotionally, they give the other person the room to miss them, to reflect on their feelings, and to come back naturally. And if they don't, then the silence is served as a filter, revealing what was never meant to last. This same principle applies to friendships, business relationships, and even personal growth. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to wait and let things unfold. Another way patience manifests is in the pursuit of goals. Many people give up too soon simply because they do not see immediate results. They start a new business and expect instant success. They begin a fitness journey and get discouraged if they do not see changes right away. They pursue a dream but quit when they face setbacks. But those who understand patience know that true success takes time. They do not let temporary failures shake their resolve. Instead, they stay the course, knowing that results come to those who persist. Patience also plays a crucial role in personal transformation. When you commit to improving yourself, whether it's through developing new skills, changing old habits, or becoming more disciplined, the process is not instant. Growth takes time. There will be moments of frustration where you feel like you're not making progress. There will be times when you doubt yourself. But the patient person trusts the process. They know that each small step forward is a part of a larger journey, and they do not rush it. One of the greatest advantages of patience is that it gives you emotional stability. Most people react to situations based on their emotions in the moment. If something excites them, they rush into it without thinking. If something angers them, they respond immediately, often regretting their words later. But those who are patient understand that emotions are temporary and that reacting impulsively often leads to regret. Instead of being controlled by their emotions, they allow themselves time to reflect before taking action. This makes them more composed, more respected, and ultimately more powerful. In conversations, patience allows you to listen rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. It enables you to understand people on a deeper level because you are not focused on proving your point or reacting emotionally. In negotiations, patience gives you the upper hand because you are not in a rush to agree to terms that do not serve you. In decision making, patience ensures that you make choices based on wisdom rather than impulse. Silence and patience together form a powerful combination. When you are silent, you gain insight. When you are patient, you allow that insight to guide you rather than reacting prematurely. You become someone who is in control of their life rather than someone who is constantly reacting to circumstances. You stop seeking instant gratification and start valuing long-term fulfillment. You realize that some of the greatest rewards in life come not to those who chase, but to those who wait. So, by embracing patience, you shift your mindset from one of urgency to one of trust. You begin to understand that life has its own rhythm and that forcing things rarely leads to true success. You learn to let go of the need to control everything and instead focus on what you can do in the present moment. And when you do this, everything that is meant for you will come naturally. In a world that constantly demands instant reactions, quick decisions, and immediate responses, most people fail to recognize the immense power that lies in stillness. Society rewards those who are loud, assertive, and constantly in motion, but often the ones who truly succeed in life are those who know when to stay silent and wait for things to come to them naturally. The ability to remain quiet, observe, and allow situations to unfold on their own is a rare and powerful skill that sets apart those who act with wisdom from those who act out of impulse. One of the key benefits of silence is the way it naturally attracts what is meant for you. Whether in relationships, career opportunities, or even personal growth, those who refrain from forcing outcomes often find that life brings them exactly what they need at the right time. This is because silence creates space. It allows things to develop naturally rather than being influenced by unnecessary noise or artificial urgency. When you stop chasing, you give people and opportunities the chance to gravitate toward you. Instead of appearing desperate, you exude confidence. Instead of forcing interactions, you let connections build organically. In relationships, this principle is particularly important. People often assume that in order to keep someone's attention, they need to constantly engage, pursue, and make their presence known. But in reality, silence can be one of the most powerful ways to make someone realize your value. When you step back, you give the other person the space to miss you. You allow them the opportunity to reflect on what your presence means in their life. If they truly care, they will come back on their own. If they don't, then your silence has served as a filter, helping you see the truth without unnecessary effort. The same applies to professional opportunities. Many people try to force success, pushing aggressively for promotions, recognition, or deals. While ambition is necessary, there is a difference between determined effort and forcing an outcome. Those who understand the power of silence know that sometimes the best approach is to simply do the work and let results speak for themselves. When you focus on mastering your craft, becoming excellent at what you do, and allowing your actions to showcase your worth, the right opportunities naturally come your way. Success follows those who prepare for it rather than those who chase it blindly. Silence is also an incredible tool for gaining influence. In conversations, the person who listens more and speaks less often holds the most power. When you do not immediately react to situations, you maintain control over your emotions and decisions. Instead of being easily provoked, you become someone who people respect for their composure. This applies in negotiations, disagreements, and even everyday interactions. When you stay silent in moments where others expect a reaction, you shift the dynamic of power. Your words become more meaningful because they are not spoken out of impulse, but out of careful thought. In moments of uncertainty, silence can be the most effective strategy. People often panic when they do not know what to do, rushing to find solutions or forcing resolutions. But sometimes the best course of action is to wait and let things reveal themselves over time. When faced with difficult decisions, silence allows you to gain clarity rather than acting out of fear or pressure. It helps you separate what truly matters from what is merely a distraction. Moreover, silence plays a key role in self-improvement. Many people struggle with distractions, unable to focus on their goals because they are constantly engaged with external noise. They consume endless information, engage in unnecessary conversations, and seek validation from others. But those who embrace silence use it as a tool for self-reflection. They spend time with their thoughts, understand their emotions, and develop a deeper awareness of themselves. This level of self-awareness allows them to make better choices, stay committed to their purpose, and avoid being influenced by outside noise. Additionally, silence teaches patience. In a fast-paced world, most people lack the ability to wait. They want results immediately, whether in relationships, career success, or personal growth. But real progress takes time. Those who remain silent and patient rather than forcing things to happen often find that everything falls into place when it is supposed to. They understand that not everything needs to be controlled. Sometimes the best things in life come when you least expect them. By learning to stay silent and let things unfold naturally, you shift your approach to life. You stop wasting energy on unnecessary struggles. You stop forcing conversations, chasing people, or trying to control situations beyond your influence. Instead, you learn to trust the process, knowing that everything meant for you will come in its own time. You become someone who moves with purpose rather than desperation, and in doing so, you naturally attract the right people, opportunities, and outcomes. There is an undeniable power in silence, a force that most people fail to recognize in their daily lives. While the world constantly urges action, reaction, and noise, the ability to remain silent, to observe, and to wait often leads to far greater results than impulsive responses ever could. When you choose silence over unnecessary words, you develop a profound sense of control over yourself, your emotions, and the way the world responds to you. There is a reason why the strongest people are often the quietest in the room. Because true power does not need to announce itself. It simply exists. And in its quiet presence, it commands attention, respect, and authority without force. Silence is a strategic tool, one that gives you a significant advantage in almost every aspect of life, whether in relationships, career opportunities, or moments of decision-making. Knowing when to remain silent can completely change outcomes in your favor. Many people believe that constant communication, explanation, and justification are necessary to prove their worth. But in reality, the more you talk, the more you reveal. When you stay silent, you hold the power of mystery. People are drawn to what they do not fully understand. They are intrigued by what is left unsaid. They respect those who do not feel the need to constantly explain themselves or seek validation from others. One of the most overlooked benefits of silence is the ability to truly listen. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, few take the time to truly hear what is being said. Most conversations are not real discussions, but battles of who can speak the loudest. However, those who master silence develop an ability to observe, to analyze, and to understand beyond the surface level. They recognize things others miss, the tone of a conversation, the hesitation in someone's voice, the underlying emotions behind words. This level of awareness allows them to respond wisely, to make better decisions, and to navigate life with a deeper understanding of the people and situations around them. In relationships, silence is an especially powerful tool. Many people believe that constant communication is the key to connection, but sometimes silence can speak louder than words. When you remain silent at the right moments, you create space for the other person to think, to miss you, and to recognize your value. When you do not always respond immediately, when you do not always make yourself available, you shift the dynamic in your favor. It is human nature to want what is just out of reach, to desire what is not easily given. By staying silent instead of over-explaining or trying to force a connection, you allow the other person to come to their own realizations. If they truly value you, they will make the effort to reach out. If they do not, then your silence has served as a clear answer without any unnecessary words. The same principle applies in professional settings. Those who constantly speak, who rush to prove themselves with words rather than actions, often fail to command real respect. On the other hand, those who speak only when necessary, who allow their work to speak for itself, naturally earn authority. In meetings, in negotiations, in leadership roles, the most powerful individuals are often the ones who do not need to dominate conversations. Instead, they observe, they analyze, and when they do speak, their words carry weight. Their silence creates an aura of confidence, making it clear that they do not feel the need to constantly seek approval. Beyond external interactions, silence also plays a crucial role in self-mastery. Many people struggle with inner chaos, their minds constantly filled with distractions, doubts, and unnecessary worries. They seek external validation, constantly engaging in conversation, social media, or entertainment to avoid sitting alone with their thoughts. But those who embrace silence learn to find strength within themselves. They use moments of stillness to reflect, to gain clarity, and to reconnect with their true purpose. Instead of being influenced by outside noise, they learn to trust their intuition, to make decisions with confidence, and to move through life with a sense of inner peace. Moreover, silence allows you to master your emotions. People who react impulsively, who allow their emotions to dictate their actions, often find themselves regretting the words they speak in anger, frustration, or fear. But those who understand the power of silence do not give in to temporary emotions. When faced with confrontation, they do not immediately react, they pause, they assess, and they respond only if necessary. This ability to control one's words and emotions is a rare skill, one that earns deep respect from others and prevents unnecessary conflicts. Patience is another lesson taught by silence. In a world where instant gratification is expected, most people struggle with waiting. They want immediate answers, immediate results, and immediate validation. But true success, whether in relationships, careers, or personal growth, requires patience. Those who are willing to stay silent, to wait for things to unfold naturally instead of forcing outcomes, often find that everything falls into place at the right time. They do not rush into decisions out of fear or desperation. They trust the process, knowing that what is meant for them will come in due time. Ultimately, silence is not about passivity, it is about power. It is the ability to hold back when speaking would only weaken your position. It is the confidence to know that your value does not need constant reinforcement. It is the wisdom to understand that not everything needs an immediate reaction. When you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, everything else in life begins to fall into place exactly as it should. Silence has a unique ability to shift the balance of power in any interaction. It creates space for deeper thought, allowing emotions to settle and perspectives to shift. When you choose silence over unnecessary words, you are engaging in a form of strategic patience that few people understand. Most individuals are conditioned to fill every moment with words, explanations, and justifications, fearing that silence equates to weakness or disinterest. However, the opposite is true. Silence is often the most effective way to command respect, assert dominance, and allow things to unfold in your favor. One of the greatest advantages of silence is the way it forces others to reveal themselves. People who are uncomfortable with silence tend to speak impulsively, often exposing their insecurities, intentions, or hidden thoughts. This is especially evident in negotiations, conflicts, and emotional discussions. When you remain silent, you create a vacuum that the other person feels compelled to fill. They will often reveal more than they intended, giving you valuable insight without you having to say a word. Those who speak less often gain more, not just in terms of knowledge, but also in control over the conversation. In relationships, the ability to remain silent at key moments can completely alter the dynamic. When a person expects you to react emotionally and instead you choose silence, it shifts the power balance. They begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and why you are not reacting in the way they anticipated. This creates an aura of mystery, making them more curious about you. It triggers a psychological effect known as the Zeigarnik effect, where people fixate on unfinished interactions. By staying silent, instead of over-explaining yourself, you leave a lasting impression in their mind, making them think about you long after the interaction has ended. Furthermore, silence communicates confidence. It signals that you are not desperate for validation, that you are secure in your own thoughts, and that you do not need external approval. People are naturally drawn to confidence, and nothing exudes confidence more than the ability to remain composed in moments where others might feel pressured to speak. When you are comfortable with silence, you show that you are in control, not just of the situation, but of yourself. This is a rare quality, one that makes you stand out in both personal and professional relationships. Silence is also a test of patience. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, waiting in silence is a discipline few possess. But those who understand the power of timing know that sometimes the best response is no response at all. When someone is trying to provoke you, when they are expecting a reaction, or when they are uncertain about your feelings, your silence speaks volumes. It forces them to reflect, to reconsider their actions, and often to come to their own conclusions without you having to say a word. This principle applies not only in relationships, but also in business and leadership. The most influential leaders are not the ones who speak the most, but the ones who listen the most. They understand that silence gives them an advantage, allowing them to gather information, observe the emotions of others, and assess situations before making a move. They do not rush to fill the silence with empty words. Instead, they let others reveal their thoughts, intentions, and weaknesses. And when they do speak, their words carry more weight because they have been carefully considered. Another critical aspect of silence is how it affects decision-making. When you constantly engage in conversations, debates, and external noise, your mind becomes cluttered with distractions. But when you embrace silence, you create a space for clarity. It allows you to connect with your intuition, to reflect on your choices, and to make decisions that are not influenced by pressure or external opinions. Some of the most successful individuals in history have attributed their achievements to their ability to withdraw into silence, to think deeply before acting, and to trust their inner voice over the noise of the world. Whew! Silence also plays a crucial role in emotional intelligence. People who react impulsively often say things they later regret, damaging relationships and reputations in the process. But those who understand the power of silence do not allow their emotions to dictate their actions. They take a step back, they breathe, they observe, and they respond only when necessary. This ability to remain composed, even in difficult situations, is a mark of true strength. It prevents unnecessary conflicts, diffuses tension, and often leads to better resolutions. Additionally, silence creates anticipation. In storytelling, in public speaking, and even in casual conversations, Strategic pauses make people pay closer attention. When someone expects you to respond immediately and instead you wait, they lean in. They become more engaged, more curious, and more invested in what you are about to say. This is why the most powerful speakers use silence as a tool. They understand that sometimes what is left unsaid is just as important as what is spoken. Finally, silence allows for self-discovery. In the constant noise of the modern world, people rarely take the time to sit in stillness and reflect on who they are and what they truly want. They distract themselves with endless conversations, social media, and entertainment, avoiding the discomfort of their own thoughts. But when you embrace silence, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself. You learn to differentiate between what truly matters and what is just noise. You develop a sense of inner peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. At its core, silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of wisdom. It is the ability to navigate life with patience, confidence, and self-control. It is the discipline to know when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to wait. And when you master silence, you master yourself. There is an undeniable power in the ability to sit back, remain composed, and let life unfold naturally. Those who understand the value of stillness recognize that patience is not about passivity, it is about positioning. When you stay silent and allow things to come to you, you are not relinquishing control. Rather, you are shifting the balance in your favor. In a world that constantly demands action, reaction, and validation, those who can hold back, observe, and wait are the ones who ultimately benefit the most. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but it is, in fact, one of the greatest forms of strength. It requires discipline to resist the urge to speak when provoked, to remain still when others rush, and to trust the process when everything within you wants to take control. But when you develop this kind of restraint, you begin to notice something remarkable. The very things you once chased after start moving toward you. Opportunities, relationships, and even respect naturally gravitate toward those who do not appear desperate for them. This is because desperation repels while composure attracts. In relationships, this principle is particularly evident. People often make the mistake of thinking that by talking more, explaining more, or proving more, they will earn the attention and affection of others. But the truth is, the moment you stop trying so hard, the dynamic shifts. When you withdraw your energy, when you no longer overextend yourself to be heard or understood, you create space for the other person to come to you. Silence is a powerful psychological trigger. It makes people wonder, it creates curiosity, and in many cases, it makes them realize your value in a way that words never could. This is why those who are unshaken by temporary silence often find themselves in the most rewarding situations. They understand that not everything requires a reaction. When someone disrespects them, they do not rush to defend themselves. Instead, they let their actions and presence speak for them. When an opportunity seems out of reach, they do not force it. Instead, they continue refining themselves until the opportunity naturally aligns with their growth. When others try to manipulate them into responding emotionally, they do not take the bait. Instead, they let time reveal the truth. Silence is not just a tool for personal relationships. It is a powerful strategy in all aspects of life. In business, the most successful negotiators are not those who talk the most, but those who know when to remain silent. When you pause, when you hold back from speaking too soon, you give yourself an advantage. People tend to fill silence with their own thoughts, their own uncertainties, and often their own mistakes. Those who can stay silent in key moments allow the other person to reveal their position, giving them the upper hand. Beyond external interactions, silence has a transformative effect on your internal world. In the absence of constant chatter, whether from others or from your own mind, you gain clarity. You begin to see things for what they are rather than what you want them to be. You develop a deeper awareness of your own emotions. And instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to respond with wisdom. The greatest insights, the most profound realizations, and the best decisions come in moments of stillness. This is why those who practice silence, who take time to disconnect from noise, are often the most insightful, intuitive, and self-assured individuals. One of the most important lessons about silence is that it forces the world to move toward you. When you stop chasing, when you stop over-explaining, when you stop trying to force things into place, you allow life to naturally align in your favor. People begin to respect you more because they see that you do not need constant validation. They become more interested in you because you are not constantly broadcasting every thought and feeling. Opportunities become more apparent because your mind is not cluttered with unnecessary distractions. This does not mean you do nothing. It means you move strategically. You understand that timing is everything, and that sometimes the best course of action is to wait. You do not rush into commitments, conversations, or conflicts. You allow things to develop organically, knowing that what is truly meant for you will not require you to chase it down. Instead, it will recognize your value and move toward you on its own. The mastery of silence is not about withholding your voice when it is needed. It is about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to wait. Those who understand this distinction navigate life with a level of calm confidence that others cannot ignore. They do not waste energy on meaningless battles. They do not seek attention for the sake of validation, and they do not fear the unknown. Instead, they trust in their own presence, their own growth, and their own ability to attract what is meant for them. In the end, silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is the ability to stand firm in who you are without feeling the need to constantly prove yourself. It is the confidence to let go of control and allow life to unfold in ways that you may not fully understand, but can trust. And when you truly embrace this, everything you once chased after starts finding its way to you effortlessly.